Want to make high-end dupes with me today that turn out better than the original? Then keep watching. So here are the inspiration pieces for our first project, and I found these on the Wayfair website. They are two kind of different types of pinecone wreaths, and we're going to create something that is similar but a little bit more with a modern twist. So to start out with, I'm just going to put some pine cones in this tin, and I'm using some gold Rust-Oleum spray paint, and then I just flip them over and keep spraying until I get the desired look I want. It took about 3 coats to get them all covered with this gold spray paint because it's kind of light once you get it all on there. But I do follow the same process with the navy Rust-Oleum paint and the burgundy Rust-Oleum paint. So here's our bucket full of gold pine cones, and then our basket full of burgundy pine cones, and then we have another basket full of navy pine cones. So to start out with, I'm going to use this grapevine wreath, and at first I tried to hot glue the pine cones on, but that was just not working. Like I tried to put the hot glue on the pine cones, I tried to put the hot glue on the wreath, and it's just too many holes in all the areas to get a really good firm hold from the hot glue. So once I realized that was not going to work out, I decided to go ahead and use floral wire. So I just took several pieces, I cut them, I measured around the wreath, and then what I did was I put it around the pine cone and put it inside the pine cone so that you can't tell at all that there's a piece of wire there. I twisted it around the back, and then I went ahead and stuck it onto the wreath. And then I go ahead, once I have it in the desired spot on the wreath, I flip over the wreath and I secure it in the back. Now, a few of my pieces weren't quite long enough, so what I did was I just got it to where they could go, and then I wrapped it around just some pieces of the grapevine wreath, and that seemed to hold really well, and I did that for the entire wreath and pine cone. So this is a little bit of a tedious process, so if you're going to recreate this, just make sure you have a TV show or a podcast. I've really been into podcasts lately. I love to listen to the Dateline podcast, so if you're a podcast person, let me know down in the comments what's your favorite podcast. So once I do that, I go ahead and just do all of the pine cones around the whole wreath in the desired grouping. So I was just going like every other one, like in a diagonal of blue and burgundy and gold. So now I have these leather pumpkins and leather leaves that I picked up at Hobby Lobby over in their fall section, and they are 40% off, and I'm just going to go around in a little pattern with my leaves. And right now I'm not gluing them on, I just am situating them in the place I want them to be before I glue them on. That way, if I don't like it or I want it to go someplace else, I can always move it. That's a really big tip. Don't glue until you're confident that's where you want it to be. So then I just go around with my leather pumpkins and I do the same thing. And then once I get them into the desired area on the wreath that I want, I'm going to go back in with my hot glue gun and I'm going to secure them down, and then this project is complete. Navy and leather together? Yes, please. I love the combination. If you're loving the combination too, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It really helps my channel be seen by other people. And let's get back into the video. So our next inspiration piece was a pinecone tree, and there's 2 separate ones here. There is just a plain pinecone tree and then a more Christmassy pinecone tree. I'm going to go somewhere in between there because we're going to be creating a fall pinecone tree. I'm using my navy spray paint to spray paint my cone. That way, just in case when we glue on the pine cones, if there is any empty spots, we won't be able to see the white cone shining through. So I always forget to wear gloves. Don't forget to wear gloves if you're using spray paint. I always forget until I'm in the middle, and then it's too late and my hands are a hot mess. So I'm using a candle holder that I picked up at a garage sale. If you don't have a candle holder like this, they sell all kinds of candle holders at the Dollar Tree. I'm sure that there is one there that would fit the bottom of a cone. That's all you're really needing, is for it to fit the bottom to be glued on. So now we're ready to glue the pine cones onto the styrofoam tree. This was also kind of tedious. It was really difficult to get the pine cones to stick on there, so it was just definitely one at a time, and then I had to hold it on to the tree for quite a while before I moved on to the next one. So here you can see that I have the tree laying down and I'm adding the cones, but it was really heavy and it kept turning over. So then I put it up against this box because I was thinking, okay, well, if I lean it up against something, then I'll have better leverage as to gluing it on. But that also did not work. It just kind of kept going over to the side. So then I decided, okay, there has to be a better way to glue these on. So instead, I decided to put the cone up, standing up, and then I attached it, and that worked a lot better. So after I got these ones glued on, then I just went around the entire cone standing up and gluing them on. So here's all the pine cones glued on, and then I just took some burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I just made a simple bow at the top. And now I'm just cutting some little pieces with my leather ribbon that also came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna make some little burlap. They're not really bows, they're kind of bows, I guess we can call them bows, but I'm just gonna put them together and tie some twine, and then I'm going to attach them into the blank spaces into the tree. That way it gives it a little bit more fuller look. Then I have these tags that I also got from Hobby Lobby, and they are leather tags, and I'm going to take the one that says grateful. I go ahead and take the leather part that was the tag and I unattach that, and then I hot glue it to the middle of the bow. Then I'm going to take that leather part that was on it already. I tied it into a little shoelace bow. I'm going to glue that just to where the hole was, and then this project is complete. So for this project, the inspiration piece is a pinecone swag. It's really a hanger, and I'm using these really giant pine cones that my dad had. If you're not able to find or you don't have the giant pine cones, I know last year at the Dollar Tree they sold giant pine cones that were on a stick, and it was $1 for each pine cone, but you could recreate with this project with those pine cones if they bring them out again this year. So I'm just using my same spray paint. I'm using the gold and the navy and the burgundy, and I'm spraying each pine cone with a color. So I decided to go ahead and do 2 of the pine cones with gold, and then 1 navy and 1 burgundy. And then I'm taking that faux leather ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to attach it into the top of the pine cone. So if you can't find the faux leather ribbon, I was only lucky enough to find like 2 rolls of it ever when it came out. So if you're not lucky enough to find that, I know that Hobby Lobby also sells faux leather ribbon, so that's also an option. And then I will link down in my description box a Amazon link to some faux leather ribbon as well if you want to get it on Amazon. So I'm just cutting these pieces into different lengths because when we have them hanging, we don't want them all to be the same length. So I have a short one, a long one, and I'm just measuring them up against each other, trying to decide where I want it to be. Now my shortest piece of ribbon ends up being slightly too short when I go to make the hanger, but I make it work. So just don't make them too short. Then I'm just putting some hot glue in the middle of I guess this is the bottom of the pine cone, and I'm just gluing my faux leather onto the pine cone. And I do that for all 4 pine cones. This was really fun, and I've never really worked with a giant pine cone before. I also thought it would really be neat to use like some spray glitter or just regular glitter on these too after I got it done. So, if you're not into the navy and burgundy colors and you want to do traditional fall colors, that would work too. You could do orange or green or brown. That would be just as pretty too. So this is definitely customizable to whatever project you were doing. You also wouldn't have to use the faux leather here. You could also use like twine or burlap or something like that to go with more of a farmhouse look. So there's a lot that you could do here. So once I get those all glued onto the pine cones, then I loop the leather ribbon at the top to give myself a hanger, and then I'm just going to tie that with some twine really tightly because these end up being kind of heavy. And then I'm going to take some more of the faux leather ribbon and I'm just going to make a simple bow. These are like my favorite bows. I just cross over whatever I'm using. So any kind of ribbon, usually if it's a smaller ribbon, it works better, but you cross it over like it's one of those awareness ribbons, and then you're going to glue it into the middle there. And then we're going to flip it over and we're going to pull down the loopy part to give us the bow. So once we pull that part down, we're going to just put some glue where we already put glue on the other side. Now we're going to turn it over, put glue on this side, pull down the loopy part, glue it there, and then we have a really simple but super cute bow. Now when you flip these over, you can also put something in the middle of it if you don't like the middle, if you think the ribbon looks funny. I sometimes put things in the middle and sometimes I don't. It just depends. This one I did not because I already had faux leather at the top of this hanger, and so I didn't really think that it needed anything. But all I'm going to do is glue it right there where my twine is so you can't see the twine, and then this project is complete. Well, that's it for my high-end dupes today. Let me know what you thought. I think that they were better than the original and that they're amazing. If you're loving that navy and leather together, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It really helps my channel be seen by other people. And as always, wherever you are in your journey is a perfect place to start. And I will see you in my next video. Go out, we can go out. You can hide away just for